So I've just found an article from the BBC. It might just be the most ridiculous article the BBC have ever posted, and there's a lot of competition regarding that. But it's full of lies, and they shouldn't even be reporting on this in the first place. I thought the BBC were unbiased, but I thought state propaganda here would be different to the state propaganda in North Korea. Apparently not. European court rules human rights violated by climate inaction. The first photo was Greta Thunberg, the clown. I'm going to replace her, by the way. I'm the new Greta Thunberg. I'm like the teenager fighting for freedom here. She was the teenage puppet of governments, pretending that she's a victim. A group of older Swiss women have won the first ever climate case victory in the European Court of Human Rights. The women, mostly in their 70s, said that their age and gender made them particularly vulnerable to the effects of heat waves linked to climate change. So, because they're old ladies, climate change and the heat waves are so much worse, and therefore, because these are protected characteristics, climate change is like a hate crime. So you eating meat and you eating what you want to eat and driving your car and going on holiday is a hate crime, and you're against old ladies. So apparently the effects of heat waves linked to climate change, heat waves are actually down. If you look at the 1930s, there was like in America, for example, since then and now, heat waves have actually cut in half. There was 18 heat waves per year on average. Now there's like 7. And now they're saying that heat waves are a hate crime, illegal if we don't act on them. Because we definitely have so much to do with the climate. The court said that Switzerland's efforts to meet its emission reduction targets had been woefully inadequate. So I guess we need more control. It is the first time the powerful court has ruled on global warming. Swedish campaigner Greta Thunberg joined activists celebrating at the court in Strasbourg on Thursday. This is only the beginning of climate litigation, said Miss Thunberg. Clown Thunberg. Her pronouns should be clown and clown self. This means that we have to fight even more. This is only the beginning. Because in a climate emergency, everything is at stake. It sounds like communism. How can you not grasp that this is communism? Guys, there's not been controlling us enough. This is just the beginning. The government must get control of the food supply. Look, they might not be directly saying this. Perhaps I sound like a crazy conspiracy theory. But what do they want to do? They want to replace your energy with energy that they get to control. Coincidence? I mean, how else can you take action? Because they keep blaming it on the farms. They keep blaming it on you. So when they're saying we're not doing enough, they mean you're not doing enough. So a bunch of people who are apparently in our support for the planet, for mankind or womankind, whatever they call it now, are saying that we need to control people more for their own benefit. This is just the beginning. Because in a climate emergency, everything's at stake. So they're saying, unless they get more control, the entire planet will cease to exist, and we will all die. And Mother Earth is going to burn. Again, just sounds like an excuse for more communism. And again, it's just like the old ladies, because of their age and gender, they're more vulnerable to the heat waves. It just sounds like it's the thing with COVID. If you don't get vaccinated, then your granny's going to die if you don't get vaccinated. It's like, if you don't stop eating meat, granny's going to die. It's always about why is it always about the old ladies? What's going on? We're trying to blame old people dying on us. The Swiss woman, called Klimaschützerin, whatever, for climate protection, argued that they cannot leave their homes and suffer health attacks during heat waves in Switzerland. They cannot leave their homes. So 50 years ago, it was 14 degrees. Let's say average temperature is 14 degrees. When they go outside, it's 14 degrees. Now it's 15 degrees and they can't leave their homes. Look, it was 10 degrees yesterday. It's 14 today. I'm not having health attacks. It's just another day. The average temperature in Scotland today is 4 degrees hotter than it was yesterday. 4 degrees. That would be called the tipping point. Earth's going to die. But it's happening right now and I'm fine. And all the old people are fine too. Does that make sense? On Tuesday, data showed that last month was the world's warmest March on record. It was freezing cold, meaning the temperature records have broken 10 months in a row. Why are they lying about this hottest March on record? We've broken records 10 months in a row. No, we haven't. Where are you getting this data from? When the global temperature is increasing, it is increasing, sure, but or maybe it isn't. When it's increasing so gradually, or moving so gradually, because that's what temperature does, It's so easy to skew the data. Oh, it got hotter by 0.05 degrees since the last March. It's pretty easy to then just skew the data to make it change 0.05 degrees. You want to skew the data? It's very, very easy. The court dismissed 2 other cases brought by 6 Portuguese young people, and a former French mayor. Both argued that European governments had failed to tackle climate change quickly enough, violating their rights. Look, you're being against human rights. Capitalism is anti-human. Freedom is killing people. I don't think they care about people dying. I think they just want to remove freedom. And also, Europe hasn't done enough. Europe combined doesn't even reach anywhere close to China's emissions. Why aren't they talking about climate change in China? Because they already have a communist government. It's not that hard to realise. Again, they don't care about climate change. They care about control, money, power, and communism. Public-private partnerships to do this. Fascism. Communism, fascism, the destruction of Western society, depopulation ultimately. The youth, aged from 12 to 24, had argued that increasingly extreme heat waves and wildfires left them unable to go outside to play, go to school, and that they suffered from climate anxiety. See what they're doing? They're making younger people scared. They're shutting the schools down for things that they wouldn't have done 100 years ago. People think it's more serious now. But that's just because people are softer now. They always close stuff. I used to do this. There was this after school thing. If your parents are working and you have to stay at school, so you can pay for you to you're being looked after at school basically for a couple extra hours. So from 3 until 5 or whatever. It would rain a little bit and they make us go inside. 100 years ago, they wouldn't have made you go inside with rain. That doesn't mean it's raining more. That doesn't mean the rain's more seriously. It just means people are softer now. It's too hot. They don't let me go to school. They're literally stopping kids from getting education. Not that it's education anyway. It's state propaganda. The school system's messed up as we know it. They're suffering from climate anxiety. Isn't that the point? To make every kid climate anxious? Because we all know that when you're in a state of fear, you lose the ability to have rational, critical thinking. You just do whatever solutions thrown at you, you do. So if you're scared, I've only got 20 more years on the planet, which by the way, I fell for 5 years ago. I thought the world was going to end by 2040. There was no point. I wouldn't grow old. The world was going to end. I was climate anxious for a little bit too. I used to be a Greta Thunberg fan. Until I woke up. So the second they throw a solution at you, guys, look, if we just control the food supply, everything will be okay. And then all of a sudden, the climate won't even stop changing, but they'll just stop saying it's changing. They'll just stop making you scared. And you think, wow, guys, everything's okay now. Because the mainstream media stopped talking about climate change. But guess what? It would still be changing. Matter of fact, it could even get even hotter. And they're like, well, we got the control we need, so who cares? A third case by a former French mayor claimed that inaction by the French government risked his town being submerged in the North Sea. This rise in sea levels thing, they keep saying, everything's going to go underwater. Give it 5 years, everything's going to be underwater. They said 20, 30 years ago, the islands of Oceania, Tuvalu, and they're all going to be underwater. They're still not underwater. And they're saying, oh, my French town's going to be underwater in 10 years. And then it won't be. But then they'll keep saying it anyway. Until they've got the control, they're going to keep saying it. They're going to keep saying, in 10 years' time, in 10 years' time, in 10 years' time, and then they're going to go, no, we never said that. They're going to delete the posts, they said that. They're going to delete the articles, delete all the evidence like 1984, to try and say that, yeah, it is, everything's going to be done in 10 years, and it's going to keep resetting until they have the final pillars of all the control, the food, the energy, the money. Cornerstone barristers in the UK said the judgment deals with difficult issues that also vex the UK courts in a way that may be persuasive. It comprehensively dismisses the argument that courts cannot rule on climate legal obligations because climate change is a global phenomenon, or because action by one state is just a drop in the ocean. One country can't do it all by itself, therefore nobody needs to take climate action. What's the solution? Globalism! One world government. Because we can all fight these global issues together, guys. We can have centralized control in one power, the World Economic Forum, their World Government Summit. But scientists and activists say that progress is too slow and the world is not on track to meet the crucial target of limiting global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. Are we at 1.5 degrees or are we not at 1.5 degrees? I thought we passed it. It's the tipping point, and now people are saying we passed it, and some people aren't. Apparently past it, and looks, I can see the grass right now, everything's fine, the trees are growing, life's abundant. I seen some cool birds today. Everything's okay. The food was stocked on the shelves in the shop I went to. Everything's okay. So it seems like we've actually missed that global temperature rise. It's now past it. Everything's okay, of course. So now it's going to be 2 degrees is the tipping point, and 3 degrees, so on. Switzerland's largest party, the right wing Swiss People's Party, condemned the ruling, calling it a scandal, and threatened to leave the Council of Europe. The Socialist Party, socialism, communism, by the way. You don't get to socialism and go, we've had enough control. You get to socialism and go, this control tastes pretty good. I want more of it. And then you get to communism. It never ends at socialism. The Socialist Party welcomed the court's decision and said that the government should implement it as soon as possible. So we're going to implement socialism and implement communism because, I mean, after all, we need climate action. Climate action now. We need to save the world. We need globalism to save the world. We need to track food to save the world. We need to own the farmland to save the world. We're all going to die if you don't give up your freedoms and have your digital ID and AI. The whole climate thing is it's not a climate crisis, it's not a climate emergency, it's a climate scandal. It is a global phenomenon, actually. So yeah, by the way, this is the BBC. They tell you this is unbiased, but they're saying, oh, it's the hottest month 10 months in a row. Hottest month in a row. Climate change must be real. But they're lying to us in plain fact. People say there's no climate crisis, there's no climate emergency, and then people will sit and call you a climate denier. I'm not denying anything. I can go outside and see there's no crisis. An emergency, you don't have to look at data to see an emergency. An emergency is like if World War III broke out right now, there's bombs dropping on my head. Emergency, get to cover. There are bullets firing past my head. I'm sitting somewhere, a terrorist walks up, that's an emergency. A crisis isn't when I can go out, see abundant life, and people sit and tell me it's a climate crisis and everything's falling apart. And their solution is communism. It doesn't make sense. It's a scam. All the way through. Let's dismantle this entire climate narrative. Let's wake the people up and long live freedom.